Chicken wars have ignited again. This time it's about who gets to call the recipe original.
KFC is suing Church's Chicken, alleging trademark violations. Now, Church's was founded in San Antonio in 1952, across the street from the Alamo by George W. Church. In the lawsuit, KFC argues Church's abruptly started using the phrase original recipe in its advertising and has ignored letters objecting to the ads.
I am Dave T, your intellectual property attorney, and as she put out, the chicken wars have ignited. I thought that was a fitting phrase for this situation. Hey man, I deal with everything from trademarks, patents, copyrights, trade secrets, and we obviously this one is dealing with trademarks. But one of the things I must say early on is, and if you get a cease and desist letter, please do not ignore it. It's nothing good is going to come from you ignoring a cease and desist letter. And I'm actually surprised that a Church's Chicken had ignored the letter, because this is a decent sized company. They're a franchise or a chain, and I would imagine that they got the funds to be able to at least respond to it or kind of get KFC up on the line and kind of try to figure out something. So it's surprising that a company of that magnitude or of that size just kind of decided to not respond to cease and desist letters, which it seems like KFC sent multiple to them, which is obviously a bad thing. And that's the next step, ends up being, filing a lawsuit. So one of the things, man, I've never, you guys have to let me know in the comment section. Now, I'm not eating a ton of KFC at this point, but KFC I thought was, a pretty good restaurant. And to the extent that I kind of get in a bind, and that's one of the restaurants in the area that, I know compared to like McDonald's and Burger Kings and things like that, I would go to KFC still to this day. I have tried Church's Chicken, but man, and it's actually, it was decent from what I recall. It wasn't like mind-blowing chicken. However, it was decent. But man, the locations are just in like the worst of the worst parts. Let me know in the comment section, have you been to a Church's Chicken and it's not in a hood? And I'm talking about it's no go for going there at nighttime. But even during the day, you kind of looking over your left shoulder, your right shoulder, and seeing, okay, is this something that I want to kind of do? Do I want this chicken that bad to the point that I'm going to go into Church's Chicken? Like I said, I've been there and it was in a hood. I'm not sure how I ended up in a hood, but it was definitely in the hood. And it seems like every Church's Chicken that I kind of come across has been in that similar area. You don't see them typically kind of coming off the highway that you see, like I said, the McDonald's, the Burger King, the KFCs, maybe the Taco Bells in these at least decent areas. It seems like, man, the Church's Chicken, they are in these tough areas. So let me know if you have seen one in an affluent area or in a better area than what I've seen one, because every time I've seen a Church's Chicken, it's in the hood. So those are some of my initial thoughts. We're going to get back to the video here. But again, at least at this point in time, please do not avoid, when you get that cease and desist letter, just don't throw that away. Just don't not respond to it, because at the very best, it's going to end you up in the lawsuit. There's nothing good that's going to come from you ignoring a cease and desist letter, especially when a company as big as KFC is kind of sending you one. And another thing, I'm pretty sure that you wouldn't have even thought that the term original recipe was trademarked. But yes, KFC has a trademark on the original recipe. That's why this stuff is so powerful. Some of these terms that you know and love or have seen over and over again, you probably would have never thought that you had, or these companies had, trademarks on these terms or logos or phrases. But again, the original recipe sounds pretty straightforward, sounds pretty simple. However, KFC has, not only do they have a trademark on the term original recipe, but the original recipe, the actual flavor, the seasoning for the chicken is actually a trade secret. I think it was like 12 ingredients for their seasoning, or the recipe for the chicken is actually protected via a trade secret as well. So not only do they have a trademark on the term KFC, on the term Kentucky Fried Chicken, on the logo to Colonel Sanders, or whatever his name is, but they also have a trademark on the term, the original recipe, as well as a trade secret on the recipe of the chicken. And it seems like, as the news broadcasters pointed out, seems like churches just start using it for whatever reason. Let's get back to the video, see what they're saying, and then kind of wrap this one up.
The phrase original recipe has long been part of KFC's branding, and the company trademarked it back in 1984. Church's declined to comment.
Okay, so you got Corbin, Kentucky, 1930, and 1952, I think we said, here in San Antonio.
Right. Mm-hmm. But why didn't they trademark it? Why waited till 1984?
Maybe they didn't think
Look, man, they need to have me. That's one of my goals here going up into 2025 is to get on one of these news programs and be like the resident IP expert. So, because there's always a big company suing another company, whether it's another big company or a small company. And you can tell the broadcasters, they don't have any idea of what's going on. So I'm going to have to kind of reach out. I'm in the Detroit metro area, so maybe I'll reach out to a local news station and see if I can come on as that resident IP expert to talk about these different lawsuits that happen from time to time. But typically, just kind of clear what they're kind of fumbling through up. It seems like KFC, they came into an existence back in, I think, 1932. And it seems like Church's Chicken in 1952. And it seems like KFC did not trademark the term original recipe to 1980. It seems like the gentleman's like, okay, why not trademark it back when you originally opened, where in business, you don't have everything. You continue to kind of rebrand and develop branding and logos and things like that over time. So I would imagine, I'm not sure, maybe they were using the term original recipe back when they were open, I think in the 1930s, or maybe they weren't, but they definitely trademarked it in 1984. So I would imagine that they definitely started using it then. But I do want to say this, to the extent that KFC, and I'm not sure if KFC was using it when they kind of came into an existence, I think back in 1932, but to the extent that they were using it, and Church's Chicken, when they kind of came into an existence back in 1952, they trademarked the term the original recipe. KFC would have been able to kind of use that term original recipe in the areas that they were able to use it. However, Church's Chicken would have been able to use this thing nationwide, would have had nationwide protection. So for example, if KFC was using this thing in, say, Kentucky, then they would have still been able to use this thing in Kentucky, even if they haven't trademarked it. But to the point that Church's Chicken came out later and trademarked the term original recipe, they would have got nationwide protection. Now, they couldn't have gone after KFC for using it in Kentucky, for example, in that particular example, but they would have had nationwide protections. What's the whole point of saying that, Dave? It's important to trademark this stuff with the United States Patent and Trademark Office on a national level as soon as you know that this is going to be a big branding, a branding term or logo or phrase for your company. Again, to the extent that, and I'm not sure if KFC was using the term original recipe back in 1930s, they should have protected it in 1930s. But to the extent that it didn't come into an existence until 1980, seems like they at least started trademarked it back in the 1980s. So you want to trademark this stuff as soon as you make that decision that this is going to be a brand identifier, and a part of our brand is going to be based on this logo or this phrase or this word. You do not want to wait, because when you wait, you open up the door for other companies to be able to trademark that phrase. And even though you will still, they can't come after you for where you was using it, you don't have nationwide protection for that phrase. And that company who came out later and federally registered, got a federal register or trademark on that phrase or that term or that logo, they are now have nationwide protection on it. So again, the timelines and the sequences of this stuff is extremely important. And it seems like KFC, they at least trademarked it in the 1980s. I'm going to go out on a limb and say they started using it in the 80s, but to the extent that they use it earlier, they should have trademarked it earlier. Let's see if there's anything else worth going through with this video before wrapping up.
Think about the fact that this would become an
Possibly
issue.
Yeah, back before 84, you didn't need to trademark before,
I think now you do for every little thing.
Yeah,
but
every phrase.
Okay, you got Corbin, Kentucky, 1930, Church's, San Antonio, 1952. I got to go with San Antonio.
Well,
I got to go with the home.
Are you settling the debate?
And here's the fix: just drop recipe. Just say original. This is our original.
Yeah.
This is our spicy.
See, look it. This is why they need your boy in there, because you dropping the term recipe, that doesn't take you out of trademark infringement territory. If KFC has the term the original recipe, and somebody comes out with a phrase, or they use the phrase the original, that doesn't necessarily get you out of the ecosystem or the ecosphere of trademark infringement. That can still be looked at as trademark infringement, because the whole standard is likelihood of confusion. If KFC, and I'm pretty sure they make this argument that, hey, even though they don't have the term original recipe, somebody looking at the original will still think of us, our company, our chickens, and therefore still trademark infringement. So I got to start making some calls to try to get on these news broadcasts, because these news anchors, they're brilliant and they definitely can talk the talk, but it seems like with IP, they're struggling a little bit. So hopefully you guys got something out of this video. A shout out to the War of the Chickens, KFC, Church's Chicken. It seems like KFC may be kind of victorious in this one, as what we based on what we know up until this point in time. But I'll continue to follow this one. Please hit a like for the algorithm if you enjoyed this video. And to the extent that you're not part of the IP community, please hit the subscribe button. Would love to have you part of our community, Everything Intellectual Property, where we talk everything intellectual property. Obviously, we're talking about the current events with KFC suing Church's Chicken. We also do Shark Tank breakdowns and reaction videos. We also bring on guests who have built a company based on their IP, and we kind of go through an hour-long interview, talk to them about their journey, as well as talking about these IP lawsuits. Sometimes we kind of pull up the paperwork and see what is in the paperwork. What are the companies alleging in their IP lawsuit? So we kind of talk a little bit about everything, and I have no question that you will be able to find something that you can rock with on the channel. So to the extent that you're not part of the IP community, we would love to have you. So hit that subscribe button and let me know in the comment section, who do you think is going to come out victorious in this situation? Do you think Church's Chicken is going to drop it? Seems like they're kind of playing hardball and they're not responding to the news people. They're not responding to KFC. So it seems like they're playing hardball at this point in time. Do you think ultimately they're going to drop it, or do you think they're going to go forward with it and answer the complaint? And to the extent that they do that, do you think they're going to be victorious for it not being trademark infringement, or do you think KFC will be victorious for it being trademark infringement? I will say this: Church's Chicken has an uphill climb with this one. So until next time, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. Peace.